under $10,000 and you can have this. She loud. I'm still kind of sick, but we're gonna do our best here. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, back with another video. Finally, we're doing the Gixxer 1000 review. I've never ridden a Gixxer before. This is Brandon, KTM Jesus, if you guys remember. We haven't seen the RCA in a while. That needs to come back. I get it. You know, when you get a new bike, you know, you tend to ride her a lot. This is my Fireblade with the new fairings. If you guys missed those videos, go check them out. Brandon over here, he thought about getting a Fireblade a few times, so he's gonna get to ride my Fireblade while I review his Gixxer 1000 RR. Also, shout out to Motivation. Thanks to them, we were able to get this beautiful SC Project exhaust on this Gixxer, and we made a video quite a while ago installing this on this bike, which made it so much better. There needed to be a lot of work done to this, and he's finally done everything tastefully. He changed the grips on them. What are they called? Levers? It's been a while. I'm a little rusty, man. Weighted bar end, so, you know, reduces the vibrations. Nice carbon heel guards. Of course, the SC Project exhaust, the Halo. Shout out to Motivation again. Their links are in the description below.
That carbon fiber block house, these are the first
3D printed carbon fiber. Yes. Are you sure you didn't get scammed?
No.
I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of 3D printed carbon fiber, but all right. Learn something new every day. It has a few things here and there. It is GP shift, so that's a huge plus. One thing though that it's missing is a tune. So this is technically stock. It has an exhaust, so the air fuel ratio is kind of messy, but you know, this is just a first ride. I've never ridden a Gixxer 1000. I've never ridden anything besides a Busa. Actually, I've ridden a Busa a couple times, and we recently did a review on one of those, but finally we're riding, you know, the regular Gixxer 1000. If you guys remember, I did talk about potentially getting one of these for the track just because there's such a good deal. Well, you can get like a brand new one for about like 15 or something like that.
Yeah. Out the door for probably around 16.
That's insane. An R version. So look, that pretty much the top version that they make, right, almost brand new, or brand new for 16K. Yeah. That's insane. To put into perspective, this is like, based on MSRP, is about like 30K. So out the door, this will be a little over 30K. So literally double the price of a brand new R version. So this is not the R version, even though I know it's confusing because it says Gixxer R, but it's not an R.
Yeah, so it's a GSXR 1000, and then there's a GSXR 1000R.
Yeah, that's. I mean, this is kind of confusing too because this is CBR, Fireblade, RRR, SP. So I guess they're both kind of confusing in their own ways. So apparently the R comes with kind of like the Olins, correct? Like better.
No, not Olins. It comes with the big Showa.
Oh, it's Showa. Yeah.
Have that big reservoir.
Yeah, kind of like the ZX10. They come with a reservoir. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Come with that. They come with the daylight running lights, which you added on, and you're gonna wire. Yeah. So yeah, the R comes with these kind of like running daylights, quick shifter and all that. So this doesn't have a quick shifter. This is 18. I always said that I do love this color because it's the white and has that like blue shimmer. I remember way back when I had that little 600, I used to see those in the living rooms. I was like, ooh, I love this paint. Yeah, this is 2018, and what he's saying is that the non-R versions do not come with an auto blipper, quick shifter and all that. So until 20, and then the new ones, they all come with it. We're gonna ride with this thing. No quick shifter, but that's okay. My Super Veloce doesn't have one either, so I'm kind of used to it a little bit. You're gonna have both up and down auto blipper, so you're chilling. They're both GP shift. You did a 520 conversion kit with a chain, so it's a smaller chain sprocket setup to make it lighter. Oh, it has velocity stacks too. Okay, so it does that. Nice. So you have all the bells and whistles, just not the flash. That's the final thing. I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done with BT Moto as well. You know, I mean, I want to tune my HP4 race, kind of redo my H2R. The Super Veloce really needs it, obviously. It's not tuned and it has a full exhaust system. My Fireblade also could, like, you know, throw it on the dyno. It's always better like on the dyno and kind of like perfect it for that bike. So even though it runs great. Okay, 185, 190 wheel horsepower with tuned and exhaust and the goodies. Okay, so this is
like
equivalent to kind of a little bit more than the R1s, because my R1M is probably at like 187, but usually they make around like 185, like you know, mid high 180s. So it's about the same as this, maybe a little bit more power than the R1s. All right, let's start her up. There's no power modes, everything is set to high.
Traction control, everything is at the lowest setting, so it's the most power.
Good. That's all I need to know. Let's do a first start with the SC. She loud. It definitely has a nice tone. It's like sharp, kind of aggressive.
This is the bike that got 1.2 million views racing against your flag. People are probably going to recognize this was the bike that was seen.
Yeah, I should have showed up with flip-flops and a tank top. I already have the tank top usually, just I need shorts. Shorts, flip-flops, and a tank top. Would have been perfect for this review. Alright, I have the key fob, so I'll just start it for you. There you go. 2 Japanese icons. And listen, we can make all the jokes about the gixxer and all. At the end of the day, for the price, you're getting a lot of bike. Let's get it. Yeah, definitely first reactions. This thing is light. Way lighter than that. Ooh, it's loud. Oh yeah, this thing is light. It's definitely, I think the clip-ons and all that, the angle of them is a little different, so it feels more tucked in. Not only that it feels more tucked in, it feels very comfortable. The rear sets are very low. Yeah, wow. First impressions is that the riding position on this thing is way comfortable. In comparison to the Fireblade, night and day difference. Fireblade is very like you're on top of the bike, very aggressive riding position. This thing's like I'm in the bike, my knees are nice and comfy. I'm very like more relaxed. The Fireblade, I'm like, let's go, let's race. That thing looks sweet though. I like the new fairings. She needs to be finished up, carbon tank cover and a couple touches, and she'll look a lot better. Man, the shifting on this thing is very, very smooth. Even the throttle, everything about it so far is like first impressions. It's light, it's smooth, comfortable to sit in. I can see this being like a comfortable daily. Suspension is a little stiff, but you know, it doesn't have electronic suspension unlike the Fireblade. Oh, that's some nice diesel pops. I was not expecting that. She's definitely rowdy. That blade looks dope, man. I don't want to sell that bike. Oh, the clutch release is kind of like pretty high up on this thing. Brake feels good. Yeah, shifting feels pretty decent. Front brake feels pretty good. I think because the bike is so light, the braking feels pretty solid on it. Obviously, you could use a nicer, better dash. Maybe the newer ones have a more modern dash. Because this is not really that old. Like, if you think about it, I think 2018 is what we said. This is still newer than my R1M. It's as old as my HP4 race. That's a little different because that's like a race bike. But, you know, I have a couple bikes are. My H2 is older than this, so they definitely could have done, you know, a little bit better. Okay, Porsche. A little bit more updating this thing and, you know, making it feel a little bit newer. He did say that it's kind of like pushed back on the stretch. It's more for roll racing and stuff like that. Because, you know, you have like minor adjustments that you can do to your stock rear swing arm? Yeah, swing arm. Dude, I'm so rusty, I'm forgetting terms of like the bike. I think just because I wonder what's the weight on this thing. Oh, you have a fuel gauge, like an actual fuel. I was talking about, you know, them making it a little more premium and all, but that's pretty premium if you ask me. Not many bikes have an actual fuel gauge. So that's pretty nice, not gonna lie. I mean, obviously the Fireblade is going to look a lot more premium because it's about literally double the price from an R, GXR R. So, you know, it makes sense. The seat is pretty comfy. I wonder if this seat is kind of like stock or if it's aftermarket. They do sound kind of similar, like different, but kind of similar, just a little bit. Okay. I did not expect it to pull that hard and that smoothly, I'm not gonna lie. Very smooth, very linear. For a non-tuned bike, it actually feels pretty decent. He was also telling me that, so this thing has something similar to the BMW, my M1000RR, where they kinda, not directly, but just slightly self-tune and self-adjust, which is kind of like impressive, because as far as I know, the BMWs are the only ones that have kind of that technology where, you know, it self-tunes. Holy, that Fireblade is loud. It looks really sick too. Yeah, that Fireblade is loud, dude. And it looks so sick. The more I look at the Fireblade, the more I don't want to get rid of her. Because if you guys don't know, she's potentially for sale. I'm selling the MV Agusta Rush right now. It's at Moto Club's Santa Monica's website /MV Agusta LA 2. And potentially, well, most likely selling the Fireblade as well. So I can get the Pirelli Extrenta, only 100 in the world, like 230 horsepower, crazy stuff. Crazy track bike that I would be able to ride on the street more than the HP4 Race because I can install fans and a kickstand and X, Y, and Z. So, you know, sacrifices. But every time I look at the Fireblade, I'm like, maybe not this one. Maybe I should keep this one. Your boy needs the space and the funds. So if I get rid of the Fireblade as well as the Rush, that means it's almost like a full trade. If I don't get rid of the Fireblade, that means I gotta, you know, obviously pay more out of pocket for that thing, for the Extrenta, and keep the blade. Not bad, it feels good. It definitely, the way it's balanced, I mean, maybe him saying that like he kind of stretched it out a little bit is actually affecting it quite a bit, but doesn't feel, it's not bad by any means, but doesn't feel like it wants to lean as much. It feels like, you know, I have to kind of like force her down a little bit. But that's kind of how it feels like. I think it's also like where you sit on the bike, I'm so like down low that the center of gravity is a little different. Like the Fireblade, you're on top of the bike, so it's a lot more sensitive to movement. As soon as you dip, the whole bike just wants to dip too. Yeah, the brakes could be better actually. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Went a little too far. I felt kind of like the ABS kick in, and I didn't think so. Just based from how it feels in like lower speeds, I thought it will stop for sure, but it definitely could use better brakes. Definitely rowdy. He definitely has it nicely set up. I mean, yeah, it's not tuned, and he said like, you know, gain 20-30 horsepower when the bike is tuned at peak powers. I'm like almost full pin in first and second, and the bike doesn't really want to come up, so he does have a nice kind of like gearing setup where you can kind of smack on it and the bike will just like take off. So it's a really nice setup. And I kind of feel that, I mean, I didn't ride with this thing for the 520 chain conversion kit, but I do understand what he feels. It feels like it does rev kind of fast, which is unusual for certain bikes, you know, unless you do certain mods to it. Like the Fireblade definitely doesn't feel like as quick revving, if that makes sense. That's usually like a BMW type of thing. Like my BMW feel like they rev faster, but that's because of, you know, titanium internals and other stuff like that. This just feels like, you know, it's light. It's very responsive because, you know, rotational mass of the chain and all. Whoa, the diesel pops do sound nice. I forgot that the brakes aren't the best. Yeah, this thing definitely needs better brakes. They're pretty non-existent. And I also realized, I think he has engine braking completely turned off, which obviously affects braking tremendously. So let's see. No, I feel the engine braking. I don't know. Definitely, like, they sound similar, you know, they're both Japanese, all that stuff, but you can tell this is like track oriented, this is like city, daily. You can, that's kind of like just everything. This is like a nice, comfortable daily. It's pretty light and picks up pretty fast. It desperately needs better brakes, that's for sure. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if it's warped or if that's the ABS kicking in, one or the other. But usually I'm like, okay, I'm like braking, I'm stopping, and the thing keeps like kind of rolling. I'm like, all right, and we kind of need to actually stop. For how light it is, because in slow speeds, it's like, oh, it has good brakes. But then, yeah, in high speeds, it just doesn't really want to stop. Sounds good. It's really comfortable. Way more comfortable than I expected. Like rear set positioning, everything like that. I was like, wow, this is kind of like, almost like a naked bike seating position, but it's a full, you know, fared bike. So it's definitely very, very like polar opposite from that, to be honest. You have it nicely set up. I did feel that, like, you know, it's pushed back a little bit. I did feel that because it's kind of like it sails nicely when you're going straight, but when you try to like lean it, you have to put like more effort into it. And I think it's you stretching it slightly and just the fact that like the seating positioning on and all that, it just so like kind of, I felt like I was so low, the center of gravity. So that's probably what it is. But honestly, for the price, it's a lot of bike. I mean, the power, like, it didn't feel like, oh, this is really slow, you know what I mean? It could use, do you know if the newer models have like a nicer display? It's not bad for sure, but I was comparing it to like my bikes. For example, my R1 has a full display, and that's a 15. It definitely looks a little outdated. I think the ZX10, I prefer the ZX10 better because it is analog, but I think with that kind of like the light bar thing, it makes it almost timeless. You know what I mean? It's like its own thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, this ride's kind of similar to the ZX10, to be honest. The ZX10 definitely feels more powerful, but like also heavier. It definitely sounds nice. It's not as obnoxious as that. That is just obnoxious. This has like a nice, kind of like, it sounds nice, but it's also like not crazy. It's very well balanced, I would say. How do you like it? Are you gonna get a Fireblade now or what?
No, I definitely not. I'm not dropping 25, but that was real. It's a really nice bike, and I mean, I didn't push it too hard, but it's just really smooth, and the engine's really, you can tell it's really refined, and it's got a high pitch kind of a racy sound. You know, when you get up there in the RPMs, you can hear it. Sounds good. Really smooth. Loves to turn. The bike just loves to turn. Really, really compliant.
It definitely comes alive when you're like kind of full pin, when you're going crazy at it. That's when you're like, when you truly enjoy it. Well, next time when you tune this, maybe I'll do another review when it's tuned, see if I can, you know, feel a difference, and then you can ride this again if I still have it by then, and you can actually give it full beans and, you know, see how she feels. You can even see like it's so much smaller than this. Look how wide and big this is. Even the handlebars. I think that's why this is literally kind of done for roll racing, because it's all like tucked in. That's how they are for like roll racing. That is like kind of wider, so it's nicer like when you turn and all that. I mean, yeah, seating position is kind of like similar to the BMW, the way how smooth and all that, they're kind of similar. So I would compare it to like, you know, a lower end version of a BMW, you know, if you're more on a budget. But obviously it has its own kind of like flair to it, so I get it. It's, yeah, under $10,000, and it's a bike that honestly, like, it doesn't feel like technically a third of the price of that for what you got it for, and it really doesn't feel like that bad for, you know, under $10,000, and you can have this. Definitely impressed by it, like, you know, no hate or anything like that. I get it, man, like for, you know, the price, I mean, this color is beautiful and everything like that. It sounds decent, it's comfortable, it's fast. I get it, you gixxer boys, I get it, you know what I mean? It makes sense. They're definitely, I wouldn't say underrated. I think they're evenly rated. I think people just hate on them because of the stigma. It's not really the bike, it's the people that have them, because it's pretty much it's the cheapest leader bike currently, technically. So since it's the cheapest leader bike, obviously it attracts, you know, people with cheaper tendencies, you know, like style and flip-flops, and yeah, like this. I know the 750 is super popular, so yeah, and they've been going on forever, man. Maybe Gixxer needs to make some crazy version kind of like this, you know, limited to 300 instead of the Gixxer R, the Gixxer Triple R. How about that? Match the Fireblade. Alright, I won't keep this video too long. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the first ride on the Gixxer 1000. Honest review, I'd probably give her, maybe I should start doing this like out of 10. Just a spitball, like a random number. Given the fact that it's not tuned, I'm gonna give her a solid 7.5 out of 10. So that's why I was gonna do an 8, and then I was like, it's not a bike that I was like, oh, let me get back on, I want to ride more. That's the one thing that like I always like, if it's a bike that like I want to ride more, like get me back on the bike, that's when I know it's like over an 8. Maybe when it's tuned, that'll change. But yeah, that's in comparison to literally like I've ridden super Legeras, like everything pretty much. All the high-end stuff. Yeah, even brand new, this would be pretty much what, like since it's not an R, like maybe 14 new?
Yeah, they're around
something like that.
Like, I think
versus the M1000 is a $40,000 bike. Yeah, I mean, if I had to rate the M1000, I would probably give the M1000 like a solid, honestly, like 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. So it's quite a gap, but it's kind of that same like, hey, I don't want to spend $40,000 on a bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is close enough. I think, yeah, I'm gonna lock in my final review 7.5 out of 10.
What would you give the RC8?
The RCA, I would give the RCA a little higher. I would give it an 8. It's just the way it's kind of like sharp and it cuts and has more character. This was kind of a little more muted if you compare it to the RC8. Oh, yeah. Like the RC8 is like, it looks different, which is still cool. Like, you know, even though it's older, it doesn't look outdated. That's the thing with bikes. It doesn't matter if it's actually old and if it uses old tech. If it looks outdated, like my H2 is 2015, dude. It's a decade old. It's 2025 now. Yeah. And that thing doesn't look old at all. You know what I mean? It's not outdated. Yeah, or the R1M. So that's what I'm saying. As long as like these bikes are done a certain way. So yeah, I'd probably give the RCA at least an 8, potentially. The only thing why it's not getting an A5 is the lack of power. It could use more power. Yeah. That I did feel on the RCA. I remember that. I like it better than this for sure. Just more unique. It's, you know, there's a lot of like other perks on the RCA. So yeah, I'll stick with 7.5 with this. And I don't think, honestly, it'll change with the tune, because my issue wasn't the power with this. It's just kind of like the way the bike felt all over. It needed a little more character. I feel like the Fireblade has more of that. Like you can, when you ride it, you're like, okay, this is different. You know what I mean? You can tell right away, which I like. I think it's fun. As long as they do it in a way where it's like not like, it's so different that like, oh my God, like what am I doing? I need to relearn how to ride. That's how the HP4 races. That bike feels so different that you're like, okay, I need to tone it down. You need to lock in. You need to know what you're doing, because it just feels so different from any other bike I've ridden. Exactly. Anyone can hop on and ride it and it'll feel like standard. People really race those a lot just because it's a good value, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the GTRs back in the day where, you know, you can get a GTR for, what, 70K instead of buying a Lamborghini for like 150, 200K, and you can put some money into the GTR and then you can smack a Lambo. It's kind of that. You know, that kind of idea. But yeah, that's where I lock it in. I think I probably give the Fireblade like a solid, I don't know, call me biased, but I might give her a 9 out of 10. I feel like there's not really much I can change about this bike. Everything about her kind of like feels good. Dude, wheels would make it look crazy, because these come with cast wheels. I don't know why a $30,000 bike came with cast wheels.
Say carbon, maybe just like a magnesium or like a
I can't. A forged wheel, most likely, because I can't justify spending, honestly. Like carbon wheels or mag wheels are all like $5,000 to $7,000. That's my rule with wheels in general. It has to have a single-sided swing arm because it looks so much better. And to be honest, it probably will benefit a ton from wheels, but it doesn't feel bad by any means. You know what I mean? It has the power, it still like pops wheelies with nothing pretty much, you know, just by... Yeah, they definitely should have. If you're talking to them, they definitely should have put like some forged aluminum wheels, like nothing crazy. But yeah, I would give the Fireblade probably like a 9 out of 10. And you guys know what's a 10 out of 10, the H2R, of course. The H2R is the only 10 out of 10. I would say the Super Leg is a 9.75. It's a little bit under...
Wow.
Yeah, because that bike was a really good... It's so light yet so powerful. My V4R is probably a 9.5 out of 10. The V4R is a 9.5 out of 10.
Aside from it not having a kickstand, the bike itself.
I can't really. I haven't had enough seat time and, you know, taking it places to give an HP4 race. But just from everything, the thing is, I can't not think about not having a kickstand on the HP4 race.
Let's just pretend it did.
You know what I mean?
Like, let's just say
If it did and I could just like take it out and enjoy it, it still doesn't have fans. But the HR technically doesn't either. But you see, I enjoy the HR so much that I don't care about the fans. It's definitely, you can tell it's a track bike. It's not a bike that I feel like I enjoy as much around in the city. Yeah. So it's really designed for that. And I'm not saying that I mean, it's obvious. But I think with that bike, they weren't messing around. They weren't like, hey, you know what I mean? You can buy this. Yeah. It's a true race bike. So it's not as enjoyable around the city. I think I would give the HP4 race probably also a 9 out of 10, which is... same as this.
wow, really?
Yeah, they're just so different, you know what I mean? Like this is more enjoyable to ride and all of that. Yeah. HP4S obviously feels different, it feels crazier and all that, but also has, it's not like it's not practical at all. And I'm talking about like throttle, like just everything all together. Yeah, it doesn't feel as like, oh, stop and go. It just wants to go and keep going.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was
So
made for.
exactly. So it's a little unfair, but this is technically a, you know, Honda's track bike too. You know, it just like it's done in a way where you can enjoy both.
So
that's why I feel like I give it.
Like power to weight ratio is probably the highest on that bike out of all your bikes.
I don't know because the H2R makes a lot more power.
But weight though for the power, that's the ratio.
It's 100 more pounds and it's over 100 more horsepower. So it's close. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a garage video soon since I'm still kind of sick, and I'll rate all of my bikes kind of back to back. I'll be like, this is what I give this bike, this is what I give this bike, and then I'll do like a power to weight ratio. The thing is, I don't know the exact power numbers of everything, and I don't know the weight of everything. I'll just save it for when I buy the scales. You know, one day I'll buy the scales. It's $1,000. So every time I want to buy them, I was like, what am I going to do with these just scales just to weigh the bikes and spend $1,000 on them? But eventually, I'll end up buying them and I'll do that video. Every time I'm like, I have different priorities. Right now, I'm trying to spend more money on this because it might be getting carbon if it's not being sold yet. I don't know. I'm confused myself. I'm trying to figure out what to do with this thing. And the H2R, I'm trying to get, you know, extra stuff for the H2R. So there's a lot of projects going on, and the Super Veloce, so the scales will wait a little bit. But yeah, anyways, I already kept this video a little too long. We gave you guys a little bit extra bonus ratings of some of the bikes, but again, you know, a 7.5 out of 10 for a bike that is pretty much, I'll just say about $10,000 is actually crazy, given that I've ridden almost every liter bike out there, at least the exclusive ones. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys want me to ride it again when he tunes it. I probably will, you know, just to give it a proper, more fair, just in case, you know, it is a night and day difference, and I'm like, okay, I was missing out, you know. So drop a like, subscribe, catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and ride safe.